So let's go together through an introduction example. And so we're going to just create a simple EC2 instance, and then we're going to add an elastic IP to it. And then we're going to also add two security groups. And for now, I'm just asking you to forget about the code syntax, the YAML. Right now, we're just going to see how to use CloudFormation and how it works. We'll look at the structure of the files later on. Now we'll see the how in no time. It's going to be super easy through the console to use CloudFormation. So follow me. Okay, so we are in the AWS console, and I'm just going to type CloudFormation and click on it. Now we are in your zone that we've been working in. So for me, it's Paris. And as you can see, we already have two CloudFormation stacks that have been created, and they basically represent Elastic Beanstalk environment. Remember when we created a web app, I had my dev environment and I had my prod environment. So one CloudFormation template get created for each, and you're actually free to just have a look at all these templates, look at output, resources, events, templates, and all these things. As you can see, this is your code for your CloudFormation template, and I think it is mad complicated, very, very complicated. Something cool we could do though, let's click on prod, is to view and edit the template in Designer. So when you do click on this, we actually get to see, and this is quite nice, I think. Let me just resize my screen, but you get to see exactly what goes on into your CloudFormation templates. And so this production CloudFormation template for Elastic Beanstalk created all these things, and all these things are linked somehow. So this is like level 9000 for CloudFormation. You really need to be good to understand how everything was created and stuff, but it gives you an idea that using this CloudFormation Designer, we can see visually how everything worked. And so if we click on this load balancer, for example, we can get an idea of how it was coded, and we can choose between JSON or YAML language. So if we click on this load balancer again, we can see the block here that defines the load balancer. Later on this course, you'll understand exactly what this block means, but it gives you a great idea of how things work, and I think it is quite nice. Okay, so this is just a small little parenthesis to show you CloudFormation Designer. I'll go back and leave this page. I don't want to edit anything. So this is my CloudFormations, and they're very complicated. So let's just start fresh. I want you all to go to the US East North Virginia region. And the reason is because I made the templates work for there, and it will be more complicated for me to make it work for every region. So we're going to North Virginia, and we get a blank state for CloudFormation, unless you've been doing your tutorial in North Virginia, in which way that's just fine. What we're going to do then is create a stack. So we're going to create a stack, and we have to select a template. So we can either design a template through the CloudFormation Designer that we've just seen, but we won't do that, or we can just select a sample template, or we can upload a template to Amazon S3 or specify an Amazon S3 template URL. So as I said, the templates go to Amazon S3. So let's just choose to upload a template to Amazon S3. And so the template we're going to upload is going to be this one called just ec2.yaml. So this template is the smallest template we can ever have for CloudFormation. It has resources, and it has an EC2 instance with 3 properties. And it just gives us the AMI ID, the instance type, which is T2 micro, and the availability zone, which is US East 1A. So without knowing YAML really well, without knowing CloudFormation really well, this is actually quite readable, and we understand what this does. This will create an EC2 instance for us, and here are the 3 configuration parameters we're going to tell to the EC2 instance. This is why I want you to do the tutorial in US East 1. It's because the availability zone attached to this instance is going to be US East 1A. So this looks good. Now let's go ahead and upload that template to Amazon S3. So I select it and I click on next. Okay, so the stack name, we can name it whatever we want. I'll just call it my first CloudFormation template, but you're free to name it whatever you want. Click on next. And now we can see options. So we can specify tags for our template, and any tags you specify will be propagated to any resource we create. So we will not specify anything. We don't need to. We can attach an IAM role to CloudFormation to do the modifications. It's optional. If we don't use it, then CloudFormation will use the permissions defined in our account. And because we are administrator, CloudFormation should be able to do everything we want. You can define rollbacks, but they're a bit more complicated. And you have advanced features where you can notify what happens to your CloudFormation tasks. Use stack using Amazon SNS topic. And you can protect against termination, so you can make sure no one deletes your CloudFormation. You can provide a timeout, so after maybe 10 minutes, We don't want the stack to continue, we just want it to time out and fail. Rollback on failure is basically saying, do you want to go back to your previous state in case you have a failure? Yes, if you do. No, if you don't, then that allows you to debug. I'll just leave it as yes. And stack policies are a bit advanced and not asked at the exam, so we'll just pass. Click on next, and we get the template URL, which was uploaded to Amazon S3, and we get an estimate of the cost. So if we click on this cost right here, we get to the AWS Simple Monthly Calculator, which is, I think, a great tool. And so it says, okay, we have my instance. We have one instance. We're going to use it 24 hours a day. It runs Linux on T2 Micro. It's on demand. It's going to cost me $850. So basically, the more CloudFormation stuff you put in there, the more it will appear, and it can just estimate the cost for you. It's quite nice. It's just a little goodie. Now we can review the options, and they all look great. And we click on Create. Now, when you first create your CloudFormation, we can see what happens. We have a stack name, and this is a stack we manually created. We have a create time, so this is when the stack was actually created, and we have the status. So when we are creating a CloudFormation, it goes into create in progress. Super important. Now we have a lot of tabs down here. So let's have a look at the most important one for now, which is events. Events is basically all the things that will happen to your CloudFormation. And this is an event log. So each event has a timestamp, has a status, and has a type. So at first, we created a AWS CloudFormation stack. We initiated it, so that makes sense. Then, because we are trying to create an EC2 instance, it says, I'm creating your EC2 instance. It's in progress. And the reason we get the status is the resource creation was initiated. So now we have to wait for the EC2 instance to be created. But if we go do a sneak peek into EC2, let's have a look into EC2 and click on instances. Hey, we see our EC2 instance T2 Micro being created. If we do look at the tags of it, we see that there is a logical ID, a stack ID, and a stack name, all with the key AWS CloudFormation. So this instance is the one that got created by our CloudFormation template, which is pretty cool. So you can look at the key and values and have an idea. Okay, we have 2 more events available to display. So when the create is in progress and it's completed, it says create complete, all green because things worked, and because all got created within my template, I get this nice little create complete status. Now, if we look at resources, resources is going to be a summary of everything that was created for your CloudFormation template. So we have my instance, and it has a physical ID. And so if I click here, I get teleported straight to my EC2 instance into the EC2 UI, which is quite nice. And that happens for a lot of resources as well. And we can also look at outputs. Outputs is going to be empty for now, and we'll see why when we do go over the output section. Parameters is also going to be empty. Tags empty as well, but you get the idea that your CloudFormation can have a lot of different tabs. And the most important one is the template. And so here we can review the templates of what we created. So here's our resources and the EC2 instance and the properties, etc., etc. And you could always, if you're curious and this is not your template, you can always go into CloudFormation Designer and observe your template. And what do we see here? We see that we have one EC2 instance. Very simple. Very easy. So this is it just to get started. Let me just go back and leave this. Okay, so this is it just to get started. Let me refresh the page. Okay, we have our first CloudFormation template. This was a little taster. In the next lecture, we're going to update this template and see what happens.